I think every real horror fan has had at least one experience of feeling out of place when compared with quote-unquote mainstream society, but I don't think there's ever been a really good attempt to understand why it is that people like horror. Like, most horror fans are generally normal people who have pretty good reasons for enjoying horror, but what are those reasons? The real reasons, not the ones they learn to tell people to make society leave them alone. That's what our podcast is about, interviewing people in the horror biz to find out what it is about horror that makes them happy. My name's Steve, I'm a bit of a psychology buff, and my co-host is my friend Chris, who's a bit of a horror buff, and so far we've interviewed about 80 people in the biz, had a lot of fun with it, and want to share with you some of the highlights. In this set of excerpts, we're just going to share some of the fun stuff. If you want to hear the real meat of the conversations, come check us out on Apple, Google, or Spotify, or you can just use a player on our website. In this set of excerpts, we're talking to director Jose Prendes, known for his work on Blood Brothers and The Legend of La Llorona, author Laurel Hightower, known for her books Crossroads and Every Woman Knows This, and director Ariel Schulman, known for his work on Paranormal Activity 3 and 4, Viral, and Nerve.
Look, things are fine. Stories are finite. They're not supposed to go on forever. I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah.
And I'm very scared for Indiana Jones 5, but it's the nature of the business. If it's successful, a sequel will come out. But I'm not necessarily a hater, but I do believe stories should be allowed to die. Hopefully in triumph.
Yes.
Yeah. Slow creep, kind of a drone in the music. So it's just like, oh, and then this thing kind of like slowly creeps out, and it's like the traditional kind of gray alien. It's kind of beige, but that kind of big eyes kind of alien. And I'm sitting, I'm watching it on HBO in my parents' bed. The lights are off, and I look over at the bedroom door, and it's halfway creaked open. I'm like, oh fuck. I don't know. That moment has stayed with me, and it's one of the and to this day, I always want to do something like that. I've never been able to in one of my movies to have a moment of pure terror like that, where it's not like, oh, jump scare, bloody guy hiding in the closet or whatever. It's just this slow reveal of this absolutely inhuman creature that you have no idea why it's there or what it's going to do. And that movie absolutely terrified me.
During your teens, was there a time when you felt completely calm or safe or at bliss?
Watching horror movies.
Not an uncommon answer, actually.
Yeah, and also at that point, like I said, my dad was very my foster dad was very technical, and he would buy everything. So we had the first VHS camera, at least. Certainly, of like in our neighborhood, nobody else had a camera, and he comes home and is like, "Hey, I bought a camera." And in my mind, I'm like, "Why did you buy a camera? You don't film, like it's not a thing that you would do." But in my mind, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm making movies." So I call up my friends, guys, I got a camera. Come over this weekend. We're making a movie. Our first Halloween together. I'm like, oh, dress up sexy. Wear something sexy. She shows up in this, sexy witch costume, and I'm wearing like this inflatable sumo wrestler costume.
Okay.
And she's like, "Oh, what the hell? I thought you were gonna wear like."
No. You wear something sexy.
Yeah.
That's the joke. You're sexy, and I'm a giant inflatable sumo.
Yeah.
It's funny.
So that's my favorite. That's probably my favorite adult costume, because I wore that. But yeah, no, Halloween.
She's like, I get ripped off.
Yeah, exactly. I loved it. But then, like, my fan, because it works on this like internal fan thing. My fan broke, so then I was just kind of like this, like, I looked like a fat dude who like lost all his weight like immediately or something.
Yeah, the lap belt surgery.
Yeah, exactly. It was like just like this wrinkly like prune guy. So it didn't work. Scream is a fun ass movie. It's a rewatchable movie. You wanna spend time with these guys because they're funny and they're lively, and you're just like, man, I wish I was friends with these guys. These are great. The two of them are murderers, but in general,
setting that aside,
so too.
Yeah, setting that aside, they're cool guys.
Not everybody's perfect.
Yeah, I'm trying to draw a parallel here. Maybe just something like the Rocky movies, where it's like a triumphant win, and it's it's a struggle, but we're with our hero. From early morning runs to smacking meat, punching, by the way, not jerking off for anybody.
I clarify that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just in case you're like, wait, what?
I knew what you meant.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you guys did. But everybody listening, like, wait, he goes, what? But I just said, like, you know, that kind of that triumphant attitude, like, we're not going to quit. We're not going to stop. I think the best horror movies, the rewatchable ones, the fun ones, give you that endorphin rush of, you know, laughing in the face of danger, I guess, the best way to put it.
I mean, I've always been a big believer that everybody makes sense. You just got to take the time to understand them. You know?
Yeah, that's an interesting way to put that. I've never heard that phrasing. I guess that's true. I mean, everybody has a reason, so
I will acknowledge not everybody has a good reason.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say, for example, that there aren't fans of horror movies that aren't serial killers. There might be, but the majority of them are not. And if you take a minute to figure that out, that the mainstream world does not need to be as worried about horror fans as I think many people in the mainstream world think they do.
Right.
There are no bodies in my crawl space. Absolutely none. I want this on record.
Thank you, Chris.
I don't have a crawl space. It's Florida. Who has a
Right.
I just always remember the VHS cover, and I always asked to rent it, and the answer was always no. And I don't think it was because they thought it was too scary. They're just like, no one else wants to watch that. So.
There's a demon coming out of a toilet. No.
I know. They'll get you in the end. Although, really, I mean, in my family, like, yeah, fart jokes, whatever, that would not have been a deterrent. That should have been an attraction. So I'm not sure why
Maybe
they were
just
not
too far.
that.
Like, fart jokes are one thing, but it's coming out of the toilet. There's pooping.
I should quiz my parents on it.
Mm-hmm.
So what exactly was your problem with Ghoulies?
Hey, we can get them on the show.
Yeah. You said it wasn't a therapy session.
Right.
We're going to call them, cue them in now. Hi, Mom and Dad.
I want you to know what you did wrong.
Yep.
I am deprived. I never saw Ghoulies. The next thing I knew, I was on the other side of the stall. My shirt was off, and my arm hurt like hell. And I was kind of in shock. I had lost consciousness and didn't realize it. He had picked me up by the shirt and thrown me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I was thinking like you got kicked and you got the wind knocked out of you or knocked out, but like...
No, I mean, that's a fair assumption too, but no, he picked me up and threw me. And I was really like, I was in shock. If I'd been in my right mind, I would never have approached the damn horse again. Right. But I was like, that horse has my shirt. So
this is like a scene out of an action movie or something. Like, you got my shirt. Give me back my shirt.
I did get the shirt back, but I couldn't figure out how the sleeves worked, which was an indicator later that I was actually in shock. I didn't really put it together. I was like, God, these sleeves are really hard to
Just mildly concussed.
Yeah, just a little.
Least favorite costume as an adult?
It's not, I mean, it wouldn't be one that like I dislike, but I tried to do a Cenobite.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I am just not great at stuff like that. And it's the same reason as why, like, when I tried to be goth in high school, I failed. I'm blonde and like pink. And so, like, I don't, so I kind of tried to put together this, like, Cenobite, costume and, like, had these, like, fake, like, wounds and all this stuff. But in every picture of me, it's like, hi, y'all, welcome to hell. Can I get you a drink? Like, it's just, it didn't translate very well. So,
I mean, there were some pretty campy Cenobites in the third one. It's possible.
That's going to be a sound clip, and I'm going to tag Barbie in it.
Oh, yeah.
She will get a laugh out of that.
That is definitely a soundbite.
The Conjuring haunting in somewhere. There was like a box of friggin' eyelids. But in any case, like, that was where he drew the line. It's like, that's it. I can't deal with this anymore. Like, I just can't. And when he explained it to me, he's like, physically uncomfortable. He's tense,
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned lucid dreaming earlier. He has lucid dreams a lot. And so sometimes he'll watch something with me and not be bothered in the moment, but then it shows up in his dream that night and just like wakes up kind of like, damn it, I did it again. So.
Yeah. I can definitely see how the eyelid can be like a stopping point then, because like in the moment it's fine, but you're just like, I know I'm gonna have nightmares about this later. All right, I'm done.
This is gonna show up. I'm not happy about it, But it's one of those things. Like now, I feel bad. I'm like, oh my god, I didn't realize you were like that. I was torturing you.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to traumatize you.
Yeah, my bad. I'll try and stop doing that. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking, remember the pronunciation of this, Ciaran Hinds?
Yeah, Ciaran Hinds and Aidan Quinn.
Oh, did I get it right?
I don't know. I'm not Irish. I'm Kentuckian, so I'm like, Ciaran who now? Ciaran? Yeah, we pronounce our city's name Versailles. And I'm like, that's not right.
God.
That is why when like you hear like, people are like, we get mad at how people can't pronounce Louisville. I'm like, shut up, Versailles. If we call our city Versailles, you don't get to complain about how anyone else says Louisville. You just don't.
Point taken.
Like the official pronunciation is Versailles?
Yeah. No, like if you come here and say Versailles, you're probably going to get thrown into a tobacco field. I don't know.
Some kind of foreigner.
It's like Lebanon, Tennessee, huh?
Yeah. It's not.
Well, we don't say Lebanon here. It's Lebanon.
Yep, Lebanon and Merville. It's like, no, it's not Maryville. It's Merville.
And I just always thought about his mom waiting for him to come home.
Oh, no.
And just how, like a really peaceful bicycle ride at night could turn into the last one.
Right.
If, the wrong people are on the road. And I think, I still think about that every time I'm riding my bicycle on the shoulder of a road.
Yeah.
Which I think is good horror. You ruin something really specific for somebody, at least one person for the rest of their life.
No, I mean, you're onto something there. That's kind of one of the usual follow-up questions that we ask on these things is like, did that affect the way that you behave later on through life, or did it, develop any kind of traumatic triggering effect? And it absolutely does that.
Yeah, well, I decided I'm not going to wear a helmet because what's the point? They're just going to run over your whole head.
Yeah, right.
I wonder if he had been wearing a better helmet, would the car have just like rolled over and he's like, ah.
Yeah, that's, stay down. And we wait. Nothing comes.
Headshot.
So one of us steps out to draw enemy fire so we can figure out what direction it's coming from. And boom, an egg splatters. Maybe it hits someone's foot or something. Yolk everywhere. And someone's like, I see him. And we look up to like the third or fourth floor of a nearby building.
Oh, nice.
And there's a tiny reflection. And I'm assuming it's a kid, and there's somebody up there with like a little handheld mirror who's looking over his shoulder down at us and firing eggs from his living room.
Nice.
Really smart. And we go, and I mean, this means war.
There was an egg sniper.
An egg sniper. And we can't quite hit him like that high up.
Right.
So he's really got the jump on us. But we try anyway and throw all of our remaining eggs and just make sure that we destroy his parents' windows.
Yeah, right.
Jesus.
Which, like, to me, that's like, that's as scary as it gets. No special effects. Terrifying. I was like, this is a pure villain. There's Hitler and there's this woman. She knowing, like, there wasn't even a problem with the plumbing. She just didn't say anything.
Having a Larry David moment.
So she's a bad person. She somehow lures the mom out into her tent. Come hang out with me. Like, sit in the grass. Let me hold the baby. And you're like, oh, God, no, the little baby, the baby.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. And I think there's some clever editing where you don't quite see what happens, but the father comes home. He's looking for his wife. He can't find her. He sees the tent in the front yard, and there's like trash in the house. And I think he sees the big dump in the bathroom. And he's like, the fuck? And he slowly approaches the tent, opens the door. And there is his wife, and she's had her vagina sewed up.
Head crushing scenes are pretty visceral.
Yeah, but
this
is like an unflinching. If you can picture it right now, it's okay. Fine, he's beating this guy in the head with a fire extinguisher, but it's an unbroken shot, and it is an unbelievable sound effect that goes with it.
And you're also talking as somebody who's had some severe head trauma. So
true, there's that there. Yeah.
Well, here we go. Yeah. Oh. Thanks, doctor. That's why I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what gets me. Yeah, maybe you're right.
Yes, as usual, Steve is the psychology aficionado. I am the horror fan. So when you say really good head smashing scenes, the first thing that comes to mind for me is Starry Eyes.
Never seen it.
Oh, all right. I've got some recommendations for you. Go see that one too. There is a particular scene involving some hand weights.
Oh God. Oh God. I really like Saint Maud.
Yes.
Yeah, that movie's so underrated, and you're the first person who's ever said yes and not what.
No, it was great with the thumbtacks and the shoes and the scene in the end where she thinks she's a quote unquote saint,
Whoa.
and then you flash to reality really quick.
Yeah, that movie's awesome.
I thought it was great.
It's like an hour and 6 minutes, which I think is also awesome.
The nose. Well, yeah, I guess
it's very short, however short it is. Yeah, that has a really great moment of body horror. I think this is body horror, but it's really just injury. She puts a bunch of broken glass thumbtacks in her shoes, and she slips her feet in and stands up.
It's like a
and that's it.
Flagellation, I guess you could say.
Yeah, this is like self-sacrifice in the name of the Lord, and she stands up, and there's a nice crunchy sound and a wince on her face, but barely a wince.
What about funny horror?
Funny horror. Well, I mean, I don't know. There's nothing better than laughing,
right? Why do you enjoy laughing?
Boy, so how is the podcast? These guys ask the best questions. I mean, the dumbest questions. They're really smart or they're really dumb. I couldn't tell. No, that's my Zen diagram. My Venn diagram.
Yeah.
Dumb and smart. Yeah, I wonder if what kind of dreams they have after doing your show.
That's a good question. We should follow up with some of them.
Yeah, follow up.
Send a questionnaire.
Yeah, right. How you doing?
Well,
your show really f***ed me up, and
yeah,
I'm seeking therapy.
Not sleeping.
So yeah, come check us out over at horrormakeshappy.com or check out some of our other excerpts until you find someone whose interview you do want to hear.